My girlfriend said, "I don't see you as a boyfriend anymore, just a roommate who pays bills." I replied, "Perfect." Then I treated her exactly like a roommate, split rent 50-50, bought separate groceries, and started dating. When she saw me leave for a date 2 weeks later, I, Drew Martinez 34, should have seen it coming. But you never do when you're in it, right? My girlfriend Melissa Foster, 31, and I had been together 4 years, living together for the last 2.5 years, in this decent 2-bedroom in North Scottsdale. Things were good at first, or I thought they were. I'm a senior software engineer at a growing fintech startup downtown. Pulling in $88K, she works part-time at some digital marketing agency, makes around $38K. The shift happens slow, like debugging code where the error compounds over time until the whole system crashes. Date nights became, we should save money for the house down payment. Weekend trips to Flagstaff turned into maybe next month. Sex went from a few times a week to maybe twice a month if I was lucky. She started going out with her work friends constantly. Girls' nights that lasted until 2 a.m. at trendy Scottsdale bars. Work happy hours that somehow always excluded me. I kept trying, planned romantic dinners at her favorite place on Old Town, bought her favorite wine from that boutique place she liked on Camelback Road, suggested hiking Camelback Mountain like we used to, watching the sunrise from the summit. She'd agree then, cancel. Kevin from work needed help with a client presentation. Friend emergency at some club in Tempe. Too tired from her demanding part-time schedule. Headache, always something. Meanwhile, I'm bankrolling our life. Rent was $2,900. I paid $2,200. She paid $700. Utilities, groceries, her car payment after she totaled her Honda Civic last spring. Just until I get back on my feet, she said. Internet, streaming services, even her gym membership at that expensive place near her work downtown. I was dropping about $3,400 monthly on our shared life. She was paying $750. She worked part-time by choice, claimed she needed flexibility for her creative projects and personal development. I didn't question it, figured she had student loans or credit card debt. I was thinking about our future, maybe proposing next year, looking at houses in Ahwatukee with good schools. My 401k was growing steadily, and I'd been setting aside money for a ring and down payment. Then she dropped the bomb. We were on the couch Sunday evening. I'd just suggested checking out that new gastropub in Old Town, maybe make it a proper date night like we used to. She didn't even look up from her phone, scrolling through Instagram stories of her work friends at some rooftop party. "Can't afford it." "I'll pay," I offered like always. She put her phone down and gave me this look like I was a stray dog that wouldn't stop following her around. "Drew, we need to be real about what this is." My stomach dropped. I could feel those 401k contributions and house down payment savings suddenly feeling pointless, like investing in a company you know is about to tank. I've been thinking about us, about what we actually are, and honestly, I don't see you as a boyfriend anymore. Silence. Total silence. The kind that makes you hear your own heartbeat. You're more like a roommate who pays bills. We don't have that spark anymore. We're not romantic. We're just two people sharing space and splitting expenses. I just stared at her, processing. "So, you want to break up?" "God, no. Why would we break up? This setup works perfectly. The apartment's nice. We get along fine as friends. I just think we should stop pretending this is something it's not. We're roommates, friends, not a couple." "Roommates," I said slowly, like I was testing the word. "Exactly. Takes all the pressure off, you know? No more relationship expectations and drama and guilt trips about not having enough sex or not going out enough. We just coexist peacefully." Something clicked in my brain, a weird cold clarity, like when you're debugging code and suddenly see exactly where the logic breaks down. The infinite loop that's been eating resources. The memory leak that's been slowly corrupting everything. "Roommates make sense," I said, my voice surprisingly calm. She blinked, surprised by my measured tone. "Okay, yeah, roommates." She actually smiled, relieved. "See, I knew you'd be cool about it. You're always so understanding and practical." "Yep, super understanding roommate right here." She went back to her phone, happy as hell, probably texting her work friends about how smoothly that went. I went to my laptop and spent the evening running numbers, our rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, everything. Made a detailed spreadsheet, nice and clean, color-coded even. Rent, $1,450 each. Utilities, $125 each. Internet, $60 each. Groceries, $400 each, kept completely separate. Car insurance, each pays their own. Streaming services, each pays for what they want. Household supplies, alternating months, or split receipts. I even included a note about common area usage schedules and guest policies, just like any proper roommate agreement. Emailed it to her at 11:47 p.m. Subject line, roommate expense agreement, effective immediately. She didn't check her email that night, too busy texting someone, probably sharing her liberation story. Next morning, I'm making coffee in the kitchen. My coffee from my bag that I'd moved to my room the night before along with anything else I'd been sharing. Her phone dings while she's eating cereal. She opens the email mid-bite, watched her face change in real time. Confusion first, like she was reading a foreign language, then annoyance, then anger. What the hell is this? Roommate expenses split evenly. Standard roommate arrangement. You're seriously making me pay half of everything? Well, yeah, roommate split costs 50-50. That's how it works everywhere. But you make way, more than me. Lots of roommates have income differences. They still split things equally. That's the whole point of being roommates instead of partners. Her face was getting red, that familiar flush when she didn't get her way. This is ridiculous. You know I can't afford this. Then we should find a cheaper place where you can work full-time. Standard roommate solutions. You're being a complete jerk about this. I'm being a roommate. You're the one who wanted to redefine our relationship. I'm just respecting your decision and treating you accordingly. She slammed her bowl down and stormed to her room. I finished my coffee, went to Fry's, bought only my groceries. Ordered a mini fridge online for next day delivery. Set it up in my room when it arrived. My food went in there. Left the main fridge completely empty except for her leftover takeout containers. When she got home that evening from whatever work thing she had, she opened the fridge and stared at the empty shelves like someone had robbed us. Where's all the food? My food's in my room. Roommates keep groceries separate unless there's a specific sharing agreement. We don't have one. This is completely insane. This is roommates. She tried changing tactics, softened her voice, touched my arm like she used to when she wanted something. Drew, baby, come on. Don't be like this. Don't call me baby. We're not dating. You made that very clear yesterday. I didn't mean everything had to change this dramatically. But it did change. You changed it. I'm just respecting your decision and acting accordingly. Over the next week, she tried everything to get me to go back to the old financial arrangement. Tears during a Netflix show we used to watch together. Anger when I wouldn't cover her Uber Eats order. Guilt trips about how I was punishing her for being honest. Bargaining attempts where she offered to do more housework in exchange for financial support. I held firm. Then reality started hitting her wallet. She noticed her car insurance lapsed when she got a notification on her phone. What happened to my car insurance? I stopped paying it. Roommates don't pay each other's personal bills. How am I supposed to get to work? Valley Metro, Uber, Lyft, Carpool, standard roommate transportation solutions. She had to pay for her own insurance, registration, and catch up on the lapsed coverage penalty. Combined with the new rent split, utilities, and actually buying her own food, she was suddenly experiencing real financial pressure for the first time in our relationship. Started eating ramen noodles and peanut butter sandwiches, complained constantly about money while I ate normal meals, asked to borrow $20 for gas. Roommates don't usually lend money without clear repayment terms, I said. Do you want to set up a formal loan agreement? Not my problem anymore. We're roommates. But here's where it got interesting, and where I started noticing things I'd been blind to before. I downloaded Hinge, made a profile, matched with someone within days. Ashley Cooper, 29, works in corporate finance at a major bank downtown. We clicked immediately over coffee at a place near my work. She was articulate, ambitious, talked about buying a condo next year, had actual career goals beyond creative projects. I started paying attention to Melissa's schedule differently. All those work events and girls' nights that had excluded me, suddenly I was tracking the patterns like debugging a complex system. Tuesday and Thursday happy hours, Friday night team building, weekend strategy sessions that required her to dress up like she was going clubbing. The night I got ready for my second date with Ashley, I was in my room getting dressed. Nice dark jeans, button-down shirt that actually fit well, cologne I hadn't worn in months. Melissa knocked on my door with this weird, aggressive energy. "Why are you dressed up? Going out somewhere?" "Date." Her face did this incredible thing, like someone had just told her that her direct deposit was going to bounce permanently. "Date? What do you mean you have a date?" "Meeting someone for dinner, maybe drinks after, a date." "With who?" "Someone from a dating app." "You're on dating apps?" Her voice pitched higher. "Yeah, single people use dating apps. It's pretty standard." "You're not single. We live together. As roommates, you were very clear about that boundary. Roommates can date whoever they want. That's actually one of the main benefits of the arrangement." "That's not what I meant when I said roommates." "Then what did you mean exactly?" She just stood there, mouth opening and closing, like she was trying to buffer a response that wouldn't compile. "Gotta go, don't wait up, roomie." The date was fantastic. Ashley insisted on splitting the check at this sushi place in Old Town. "I always pay my own way," she said when I tried to grab the bill. "Makes everything cleaner." Wild concept. We talked about career advancement, travel plans, actual adult life goals. Made plans for the weekend, got home around midnight. Melissa was sitting on the couch in the dark like some kind of relationship ghost. "We need to talk." "It's late and I have a client presentation tomorrow morning." "You can't date other people." "I'm single. Single people date. That's how it works." "You live with me." "Yeah, as roommates. Roommates date other people all the time. That's completely normal." "This is totally messed up." "This is exactly what you wanted. A roommate arrangement with no relationship pressure or expectations. Nothing more." I went to my room and locked the door. Could hear her pacing around the living room for another hour, probably texting her friends about this unexpected development in her perfect plan. My work performance had been suffering during the relationship decline, missing deadlines, distracted during meetings, making careless errors in code reviews. My manager, Janet, had even pulled me aside last month asking if everything was okay at home. Now suddenly I felt sharp again, focused. Started arriving early, staying late by choice instead of to avoid going home. Ashley and I started seeing each other regularly. She had this refreshing directness about everything, split every check, planned activities equally, communicated clearly about expectations. It was like discovering what an actual partnership could look like instead of a financial support system disguised as a relationship. Melissa noticed the change immediately. I was happier, more energetic, actually whistling while making coffee in the morning. She tried ramping up her manipulation tactics, started leaving her work clothes draped around the bathroom, wearing revealing outfits around the apartment, playing music she knew I liked. "What are you doing?" I asked one morning when I found her making pancakes in a silk robe. "Being a good roommate, making breakfast for both of us." Roommates don't usually make breakfast for each other unless it's discussed beforehand. I'm just being nice. Roommates also don't manipulate each other with sexual undertones. That creates an uncomfortable living environment. She threw the spatula in the sink. "You're impossible." After that first real date, things escalated quickly. Melissa started leaving her stuff everywhere, like she was marking territory. Clothes draped over the couch, dishes piled in the sink for days, hair clogging the bathroom drain. When I'd move her things to maintain clean common areas, she'd explode. "Stop touching my stuff." Your belongings are in shared spaces. Roommates respect common areas and maintain cleanliness standards. "Oh my God, stop saying roommates like that." She also started having her friends over constantly, without any advance notice. Loud conversations, wine-drinking sessions, completely taking over the living room. One Tuesday night, they were still going strong at midnight. I had that client presentation the next morning, the big fintech integration project I'd been leading for months. "Can you guys keep it down? Some of us have early morning meetings." Her friend Nicole, the one who'd always given me attitude, laughed like I'd told a joke. "You're really going to tell her what she can do in her own place?" "Our place that we both pay for equally now, and I'm asking for basic roommate courtesy about noise levels during work nights." "You're such a controlling ass," Melissa said. "This is exactly why our relationship never worked." "Our relationship didn't work because you said we're roommates, and roommates don't throw weeknight parties without checking with their housemates first. It's not even that loud." It was midnight on a Tuesday, and they were playing music while laughing about some workplace drama. I pulled out my phone. What are you doing? Documenting noise violations for the property management company. You wouldn't dare. I started typing in this email to Rodriguez. Nicole suddenly got very quiet. You're actually going to get us in trouble with the landlord? She asked. I'm documenting a pattern of lease violations. That's standard procedure when dealing with problematic roommates. Her friends left within 10 minutes. Melissa screamed at me for an hour about being controlling and vindictive. I went to bed with earplugs. A few days later, she completely switched tactics, started being artificially nice, made dinner and offered me some, suggested watching Breaking Bad like we used to, wore that blue sundress she knew I'd always complimented her on. What exactly are you doing? I asked. Being a friendly roommate, roommates can be cordial and social, right? Friendly roommates also don't use psychological manipulation tactics on each other. I'm not manipulating anything, I miss when we used to have fun together. You said we had no romantic spark, that I was basically just someone who paid your bills. I was confused about my feelings. I didn't mean all of that. Which part specifically didn't you mean? All of it. I miss having a real boyfriend. You don't have a boyfriend. You have a roommate who pays half the rent, by your explicit choice. I made a mistake, okay? That's unfortunate. Learn to live with your decisions. Her face crumpled, but I walked away. I'd spent 2 years trying to fix whatever was wrong with us. Not my job anymore. My relationship with Ashley was developing into something genuinely healthy. Third date, we went hiking at South Mountain at sunrise, then grabbed breakfast in Ahwatukee. She was funny, had clear life goals, talked about buying a condo within the next 18 months. Actually asked about my career goals and listened to my answers. When I got home around noon, Melissa was waiting with her mom, Sandra Foster, 54, wearing that disapproving expression I remembered from family dinners. This was going to be interesting. We need to have a conversation, her mom said in that maternal lecture tone. About what specifically? About how you're treating my daughter. I'm treating her exactly like a roommate, which is what she explicitly requested. Don't be smart with me. You're punishing her for being honest about her feelings. No, I'm respecting her honesty. She said we weren't a couple anymore, so we're not. She said I was just a roommate who pays bills, so I became a roommate who pays exactly half the bills. She didn't mean you should start seeing other women while living with her. What did she mean then? Her mom looked at Melissa, and Melissa stared at the floor like it contained the answers to life. She needed some space and breathing room in the relationship, not for you to completely upend everything. She said, and I quote, I don't see you as a boyfriend anymore. You're more like a roommate who pays bills. How else should any reasonable person interpret that statement? You're being deliberately obtuse. I'm being clear about boundaries. She established new parameters for our living arrangement. I'm operating within those parameters. You're living with her while dating someone else. Yes, single people date other people. She made me single through her roommate declaration. Her mom's face got that pinched look parents get when their logic traps aren't working. You need to stop this childish behavior and work on repairing your relationship. There is no relationship to repair. There are two adults sharing an apartment and splitting expenses equally. Stop saying that word. What word? Roommates? It's accurate according to your daughter's definition. This went on for another 45 minutes. Threats about how I was damaging Melissa emotionally. Guilt trips about the time and energy she'd invested in our relationship. Manipulation attempts about how I owed her consideration for her feelings. I stayed calm and factual throughout. She wanted roommates. I agreed to be roommates. Done. Finally, they left. Her mom called me emotionally stunted on the way out. After they left, Melissa made one more direct attempt. Can we really talk honestly, please? About what? Fixing what we had. There's nothing to fix. There are two people sharing living space and expenses. How can you be so cold about this? I'm not cold. I'm neutral, like you'd be toward any roommate. Roommates don't get emotionally invested in each other's personal lives. She started crying. Real tears this time, not the performative manipulation tears. I didn't want things to end up like this. You literally asked for exactly this arrangement. I didn't want you to stop caring about me completely. I don't hate you. Hate requires emotional investment. I'm indifferent, which is appropriate for a roommate dynamic. Please just give us one more chance. There's no us to give a chance to. She cried harder. I went to my room, felt a small twinge of something that might have been sympathy. Then I remembered her eye rolls when I suggested date nights, how she never canceled on her work friends but always found excuses to cancel on me, how she'd told Nicole I was so easy to handle because I never caused drama. The sympathy evaporated. Things went completely sideways after her mom's visit. Melissa shifted from sad manipulation to outright vindictive behavior. Started accidentally unplugging my phone charger at night so my alarm wouldn't go off. Forgot to give me important mail, including a notice about our lease renewal deadline. Used all the hot water before my morning showers, leaving me with ice-cold water before important client meetings. Petty, transparent nonsense. But I documented everything. Time, date, specific incident, impact on my daily routine. Built a comprehensive file like I was preparing a bug report for the most annoying software ever written. Then she made a massive tactical error. Went to the property management office without telling me. Got an email the next day asking me to come by the office. Rodriguez, the property manager, looked deeply uncomfortable when I walked in. Your roommate came by yesterday, said there are some serious issues in the unit. What kind of issues? She claims you're harassing her, making her feel unsafe, bringing strange women over at inappropriate times. Women? One woman. Once. We watched a Netflix documentary for 2 hours on a Saturday evening. Is that against the lease terms? No, but she said you two were in a relationship. Were, past tense. She ended it 6 weeks ago. Told me I was just a roommate who pays bills, so I started acting like a roommate who pays exactly half the bills. That's complicated. Not really. We're both on the lease. We both pay rent on time. Any actual lease violations? No documented violations. Then what's the problem? He sighed heavily. She seemed genuinely upset. Said you're making her feel unsafe in her own home. Unsafe how? Have I threatened her, raised my voice, made inappropriate contact? She didn't provide specifics. Because I haven't done any of those things. I've been completely professional and civil. If she feels unsafe because I'm dating other people as a single person, that's her emotional issue, not a housing violation. He agreed to drop it, but advised me to maintain a peaceful living environment. When I got home that evening, she was waiting like a prosecutor who thought she'd just delivered a winning argument. You talked to Rodriguez? I did. And? I'm not violating anything, but filing false harassment complaints could actually get you in legal trouble. I wasn't lying about anything. You claimed I'm harassing you. I'm not. I'm existing in the space I pay for while following all lease terms. That's not harassment. That's normal roommate behavior. You're flaunting your new relationship? I'm living my life as a single person. I hate you. That's unfortunate but irrelevant. The simplicity of my response broke something in her. She grabbed a framed photo from our Sedona trip last year and hurled it at the wall. Glass shattered everywhere, scattered across the hardwood floor. Feel better now? Go to hell. She stormed into her room and slammed the door. I took detailed photos of the damage from multiple angles, sent them to Rodriguez with timestamps. Property damage, actual lease violation. She got a written warning within 24 hours. This completely unhinged her. Her friends started showing up to confront me about my behavior, cornering me in the apartment, delivering lectures about what a terrible person I was being. You're completely destroying her, Nicole said during one ambush. She destroyed the relationship. I'm just adapting to the new parameters she established. You could fix this if you actually cared. Fix what? She doesn't want to be my girlfriend. She made that extremely clear. People make mistakes. Adults work through problems. Adults also deal with the consequences of their decisions. They couldn't comprehend it, kept trying to convince me I was being unreasonable. I just stayed factual. She requested a roommate arrangement. I agreed. Case closed. But then I discovered the real story behind everything. Ashley worked in corporate finance, moved in similar professional circles. Small world in Phoenix. She mentioned this guy, Kevin Walsh, who worked at a downtown marketing firm. Described him perfectly. I knew exactly who she meant. Melissa's work friend she'd been spending suspicious amounts of time with. Oh, Kevin, Ashley said when I mentioned the name. Total player, burns through women constantly. My friend Madison dated him last year. Complete emotional disaster. Very interesting development. Did some strategic social media reconnaissance. Found his Instagram, completely public profile. And there was Melissa. multiple photos over the past 8 months, always with him and the work crew, tagged team building and work family, but the body language told a completely different story. She'd been methodically lining up her next relationship. The whole roommate speech was designed to give her freedom to pursue Kevin while maintaining me as financial and emotional backup. She thought she could test drive him while I waited in the wings paying her bills and providing stability. Except Kevin wasn't interested in anything serious, just casual hookups when convenient. She gambled that she could manipulate both relationships simultaneously and lost spectacularly. The poetic justice was absolutely beautiful. I didn't confront her about it, just continued living my life. Ashley started staying over more frequently. We cooked dinner together, planned weekend trips, discussed real future goals like responsible adults. Melissa would emerge from her room and glare. Ashley would wave cheerfully. "Hi there, you must be the roommate Drew mentioned." Melissa looked murderous every single time. One Saturday morning, Ashley stayed over after we'd fallen asleep watching a documentary. We made pancakes and fresh coffee, laughing about some story from her work. Melissa came out and saw us being genuinely happy together. Her face went completely pale. "Are you seriously doing this right now?" "Good morning," I said. "Want some pancakes?" "You're sleeping with her in our apartment?" "I'm in a relationship. This is my home. I can have my girlfriend stay over." "I cannot believe you're doing this to me." Ashley smiled sweetly. "These pancakes turned out amazing. You should definitely try them." Melissa grabbed her purse and left, slammed the door so hard that a picture fell off the wall and the frame cracked. "She seems like a lovely roommate," Ashley said. "She's still adjusting to the natural consequences of her decisions. That's not typically how breakups work. Someone should probably explain that to her." Later, I found out she spent that morning crying to her friends at some coffee shop, posting vague Instagram stories about toxic masculinity and emotional manipulation. Didn't tag me directly, but the subtext was obvious to anyone following the situation. I ignored all of it, just continued living my actual life. The lease renewal deadline was approaching fast. I'd been quietly apartment hunting, found a perfect one-bedroom in Tempe, closer to work, better commute. Signed the lease, put down the deposit, didn't mention anything to her. She started talking about renewal like it was completely automatic. "We should probably tell Rodriguez we're staying for another year," she said one evening. "You should definitely do that. We need to do it together." "Actually, I'm not renewing." She froze completely. "What do you mean?" "Moving out, got my own place." "You can't just abandon me. The lease ends. I'm not renewing. That's how rental agreements work." "What am I supposed to do?" "Find a new roommate. Get a cheaper place you can afford alone. Move back with your parents. Standard housing options." "I can't afford this place without you. You probably should have considered that before redefining our relationship." "This is completely insane. You're making me homeless." "You're not going to be homeless. You're going to figure out adult housing solutions." She tried every manipulation tactic in her playbook. Tears, anger, bargaining, even attempted seduction, wearing that blue sundress. Suggested we could really make things work if I stayed. No. Why not? Because you don't actually want me. You want financial convenience and emotional security, but you don't want me as a person. That's not true. It's completely true. You wanted to explore other options while maintaining a safety net, but your backup plan failed when Kevin wasn't interested in anything serious. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." She couldn't maintain eye contact. Moving day arrived right on schedule. Professional movers came early, efficiently packed my entire life, my furniture, my belongings, my future. Melissa watched from her doorway as they loaded everything. The apartment looked completely empty without my contributions. Turned out I'd been providing most of the actual furniture. "You're really going through with this?" "Absolutely. You're ruining my entire life." "I'm not ruining anything. You created this situation. I'm just not fixing it for you anymore." "I'll never forgive you for this." "I don't need your forgiveness." The movers finished loading. I did a final walkthrough, took photos for deposit purposes. She was crying on the bare living room floor. "Please don't leave me." "Goodbye, roommate." I walked out, got in my car, drove to my new place. Ashley helped me unpack boxes and arrange furniture. We ordered Thai food, properly christened the new apartment. It was an exceptionally good day. Found out later what happened to her. Couldn't afford the lease, broke the rental agreement, lost her deposit, and got evicted. Had to. Moved back with her parents in surprise. Sold her car because she couldn't make payments without me subsidizing her insurance. Kevin ghosted her completely once she was financially unstable and living at home. Her friend circle slowly evaporated. Constant complaining about your ex gets old fast, especially when people realize you caused the entire situation. Last I heard through mutual professional connections, she's working retail management at some outlet mall, living in her childhood bedroom, barely making enough for basic expenses. Just consequences. Ashley moved in after 3 months. We split absolutely everything 50-50. Both contribute equally, communicate clearly, respect each other completely, act like actual partners. It's remarkable how relationships function when both people actively participate. I don't feel guilty. Melissa made a calculated decision to demote me to financial support while pursuing other options. She gambled that I'd remain available as backup while she tested other relationships. She lost that bet decisively. If you tell someone they're just a roommate who pays bills, don't be shocked when they treat you exactly like a roommate. And definitely don't be surprised when that roommate moves out. I sleep exceptionally well in my new place, next to someone who genuinely wants to build a life together. Best decision I ever made was taking her completely at her word. The best revenge is simply letting people live with the natural consequences of their own choices.